Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Public Works Podcast. My name is Joseph Blackman, and today I got a real treat for you. His name is Alan Freeman, and he is a territory rep for Global Machinery. Alan, say what's up to everybody.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
All right, Alex, you and I got some history together, which is going to make this a little bit or a lot of bit sweeter because we know each other. We worked together in the past, and it's always fun to talk to people along your journey and kind of see where you're at and where you're at and what's going on. So let's talk about what Alan's up to today with Global Machinery.
Man, it's fun to. I'm grateful to be here, and it's fun to talk to you. Man, you're one of the best dudes I worked with at Owen for sure. And so, yeah, man, I'm just excited to be here. And anyways, what's going on with you?
Man, I just rocking and rolling, doing what I do. But now you're at Global Machinery. So what kind of products do you sell up there? What part of the territory, what part of the country are you in, and what do they have you doing?
All right, that's a good question. I appreciate that. So here at Global Machinery, we're in Boise, Idaho. Actually, just a little suburb outside of Boise called Meridian. We sell specialized equipment for the utility industry, construction industry, and forestry industry. So essentially, we're the bandit dealer, which is forestry industry. And you'll know that one of our buddies that we used to work for actually owns now Cowline, which is a dealership right next to me, believe it or not. Owen bought Cowline, and so they're now somebody that sells the same products I do again, which is weird, but it's cool. And then the utility industry is the construction side, and utility construction side is all the fiber optics and electrical lines and plumbing lines, all the underground stuff that you don't normally see. All of the equipment that is used to put all of those utilities in is what I sell. So Takeuchi is our main brand. We sell the track loaders and the excavators and wheel loaders and stuff like that from Takeuchi. Man, I've got about 20 different brands we sell. Everything from Mechalac to Avant, Primetech, Finn, Lane, Kaiser Premier we sell, which is a competitive brand to what you and I used to sell. Universal directional drills. So it's quite a huge selection. So there's over 20 different brands that we sell. And, one of the good things about what we do here is that because we're so specialized, customers aren't normally used to having a specialized construction company here, which is what makes us unique. There are other brands that sell this type of equipment, but to the fact that we sell quite a bit of equipment that is specialized, it kind of gives us a unique perspective on the market. So
I'm sure. With 20 line items, that's a lot, man. So what, I guess, when you first got on, what was it like? Because I'm sure there's, Pareto's law, 80% or 20% of the product probably yield 80% of the, the revenue coming in. So how do you pick and choose like which one to actually get really, 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 really knowledgeable at? And then let's say you're in front of a customer and you got 20 different tools in your tool belt. Like, how do you figure out which one to actually bring out and pitch and present?
And that's tough. One of the good things is the forestry industry and the rest of this stuff that we sell are pretty different. So that's pretty easy. I can focus in on Bandit and Avant. Those products are pretty easy. I know who I'm selling to, what I'm selling to them. But then when it comes to all of the other utility construction and general construction equipment, man, it's tough. You go in there and you don't know what they need, how you can help them. And you're right. You want to zero in and get really good at a particular product. So what I've done is I focus in on our main lines and then let the customer dictate to me, and then I learn as I go. Because there's just so much um, you can't really know everything. All you can
Yeah.
do is just be honest with the customer and say, look, I've got over 20 different brands. This may not be the one that is our main brand. And so let's learn together.
Sure, sure. So let's kind of talk about your backstory before you got into this beautiful, municipal government sales industry. What were you doing before this, and kind of what skills or what tools you grabbed along the way to help you be successful at what you're doing today?
Yeah, so I've been in sales for quite a while, probably over 20 years now. Um, I guess some of the skills that really stand out to me are persistence. You've got to be persistent, and you want to be in front of the customer when they need something. It's not always a matter. You're not going to, with our type of sales. It's more consultative type versus some of the other types of sales. So we're here to provide as much information as we can to the customer so that they can make an informed decision, right? So persistence helps with that. And so if we're in front of them on a consistent, persistent basis, then the customer is going to know exactly uh, what your product does, how it can help them, or at least if you're doing your job, you should. They should. And so what I do to help along the way is I schedule as much as possible. So if I have a customer, for instance, I'm a spreadsheet guy. When I make a sale, I have a spreadsheet of all my guys that I make sales to, and then I have dates that are scheduled in so that I can reach out to them and say, hey, how's it going? Do you need anything? Do you need service? Do you need to do your 200-hour service, 500 hours, or whatever it happens to be? And so I have that set up for my current customers. My prospective customers, I also schedule out to go visit them as hopefully as consistent as possible, but that's really hard to do. I just know that I need to get to certain customers within a certain period of time, and that's just learned over a period of time, whether it be a monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, like some of the bigger municipalities, we don't go to quite as often. Some of the smaller construction guys, you need to be in front of them all the time. If you know the seasons, because there's seasons out here, that's always helpful. So in the wintertime here in the Boise area, man, there's not a lot going on unless you're clearing snow. So you just know that that's your snowplow season. We sell snowplows. So, that's a topic you talk about in that season. And then throughout the rest of the year, you just have to learn what to talk about and who to talk to, and then schedule them. My calendar has become, my wife taught me this actually. My calendar has become my best friend. We schedule everything, even personally, schedule everything to calling friends and family. We schedule what we're going to do for the weekend, all these different types of things that we schedule because it bleeds over into professional, and it all, at least for me, it helps me stay on track, get things done that need to be done personally and professionally. So that's really
Yeah,
been my
yeah,
skill.
gosh. I love that because in sales or in business or life in general, if you don't schedule it, there's always going to be something a little bit more important or urgent that's going to pop up and take your energy, your focus off of that thing you need to be doing to do that
Right.
thing that should be done right now, when really it could probably wait a little bit. And I love that. Like, if we're giving advice to some of the newer, fresh sales reps, it's like, man, the calendar, like that's where you'll live at. And I love how you
Yeah.
you schedule it out. So let's get a little bit more tactical. You talked about some of the bigger cities that you would visit X amount of times, or the contractors, how you're always staying on them. How does a new sales rep decipher like how often to see somebody? Is it the amount of potential revenue they can get from that company or city, or is it they're best friends with that person and you need to see them less, or you need to see them more? Like how do you figure out how often you should keep walking in somebody's door and say, hey, I got this?
That's a pretty easy question to answer. It's essentially um, when you're first starting out, you want to go in as often as you can in order to reach the right person. So your goal changes along the way, right? So when you're cold calling on somebody, the first goal, right, is to find the right person, right? Once you find the right person, now you need to ask enough questions to find out, to kind of gauge how often you should be there. I've even gone to a customer and said, I don't want to be a burden or a bother to you. How often should I come around in order for you to be happy to see me? And I've actually asked that question, and usually get a really good response, because people love the fact that you're cognizant of their time. And so you can't be afraid to ask those questions. You go in, you find the right person. Once you find the right person, then you just let them dictate the terms. And hey, look, if it doesn't work out with that customer, going through all that stuff, that's okay. It's called next, right? Go to the next guy, and just go down the line. I mean, that's how I feel about my cold calls. When I make cold calls, I've got my list of cold calls. I get a lot of no, but then the one guy, could be the last guy on the list, says, yeah, come on by, let's chat. And so, even as many years as I've been in sales, I still do cold calls. I don't like to do them, but I do them because I know they're necessary. And it's the way that I know that's how I'm going to find my customer. I'm not trying to make a sale on the phone. I'm just trying to find, if you go in it with the attitude, I'm just trying to find the right guy to talk to, and find out one, do they need our service? And then if they do, once you've found that guy, do they need our service? And, what's it look like for the future?
Yeah, that was a huge mindset shift for me, because when you get into these long sales cycles and these large dollar amounts, nothing happens on the spot. You can walk into a guy's office on January 1st, 2023, and you probably won't get paid, let's say in August of 2024 or 2025. Like it takes that long. So the mindset shift for me was like, hey, when I walk in and like on a cold call, I'm not here to sell you something. I'm just here to see if there's a problem that I could potentially solve for you. If there's no problem, if there's no fire for me to put out, okay, I'm going to take my fire extinguisher and I'm going to go down the road. But if there is, let's talk about it. So it helped me out a lot, because you get so much. And the problem is, like, I'm okay with rejection. I'm okay with getting a no. It's just the maybes or the, I don't know, let's talk, let's talk in a couple months or come back. Like that's what most sales are. So what's the best practice for you to kind of either get to a yes or a no instead of just having a whole bunch of maybes on your list?
Yeah. I don't think you can totally eliminate all those maybes. I mean, that's a part of the deal. One of the benefits for working for Global is the fact that we actually are now starting to get some equipment on the ground. So our sales cycle has shrunk quite a bit. I've actually got some Takuchis on the ground. I've got Bandits on the ground. I've got a bunch of stuff on the ground. So when I go to a customer, I can shorten the sales cycle. I can solve their problem of needing equipment immediately, usually, but not always. So I still have that mindset of, hey, I'm not trying to make a sale initially, but I'm still cognizant of, hey, I got equipment on the ground that I need to that I can help solve your issue or your problem, right?
And like, these are interesting times because we're out of COVID, and you're in Idaho, so it's probably a little different than California, like handling COVID and all that. But lead times are crazy. I mean, some of these pieces of equipment are out for years. So how can a salesman keep his morale up? Like how do you keep your energy up, even though you won't be able to deliver that truck until till Jesus comes and they get paid after that?
Right. The way you do that is you throw as much in your funnel as you can, right? So you just stack. That's what I call it, stacking. You just stack in your funnel. Even if it's some of the small stuff, if there's something that you can do, like for instance, we do rentals, and rentals are for us are growing, and the fact that we rent could then turn into a sale. And so I'm more than happy to rent equipment to anybody and everybody that I can, because I know once I get the equipment in their hand, now there's a real good chance that either they're not going to bring it back or that they're going to go ahead and buy it because they've used it and love it. So the little things like the little rentals that you get that they don't pay a whole lot, but it doesn't matter. The bottom line is that's part of creating your relationship. I've created more relationships through the small little things than I have trying to make a slam dunk on a big deal, right? Big deals are great. I love when they come, but the small things is where the money is. So by putting your efforts behind some of these small items, you actually it turns into bigger items, right? I mean, that's the way I can see it.
Yeah. I mean, like getting your foot in the door is huge in some of these long sales cycles, because
Yeah.
if a guy will say yes to you for something small, $500,
Right.
it's usually not that much of a harder sell to get them to say yes to something that's $500,000 or $50,000, because it's already a trust built in there. If they trust you for 500, they're probably going to trust you for a little bit more. So, all right. So how does Alan keep up with the times? How do you, like, what's your personal and professional development regimen like? How do you keep showing up year after year and just, stay on top of your game and keep up with what's new and what's efficient out there?
It goes back to the calendar thing. My regimen is the same, but it's different every day. One of the things that I like about what we do is that I get a chance to get my truck and cruise around and talk to people. And if I'm talking to somebody, that's what I enjoy. That's why I do it. I mean, that's why you and I are sitting here talking, because we enjoy chatting with people, right? I mean, if you don't enjoy talking to people, don't be in sales, right? So my regimen is to make sure that I'm in front of as many people as possible. Some days look like I don't talk to very many people, but then some days I'm busier than I can keep up with. So that's what keeps me going, is the fact that, hey, I'm meeting new people almost every day. I'm helping someone, right? I love talking to people and I love helping people. If you keep those two things in mind, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this business, you're gonna enjoy it. And that's what keeps me going, is making sure that I have my calendar full and talking to people and helping people. Those are the big three for me.
Sure. Is there a certain place that, like, a salesman, like, it could be books, it could be like YouTube, like a young salesman, just kind of like myself when I first got into this industry, it's like there's not that much curriculum out there or a place we can go to kind of learn about the industry. It's like insurance. There's millions of videos and PDFs and articles on like how to sell insurance, what it's about, how to find the customers and all that. But this industry is different. There isn't much out there. So where would you say a young salesman should start out to get good at, knowing the nomenclature, knowing the industry, knowing the problems that he could potentially solve?
Yeah, that's a tough one. This is a very unique and specialized industry. I think both you and I both have kind of stumbled into it. So, it found us. We didn't find it,
Sure.
which is great because we both love the industry.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like any other sales where you've got to fall on your face enough times, and don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as you're getting better every day. And I mean, I'll tell you, one of the things that has helped me through the years, I know this is going to sound a little out there, but believe it or not, it's helped me both personally and professionally, is meditation. I meditate every day, 30 minutes to an hour. I learn to meditate, and then I take that meditation into my daily practice for sales. And then I go for it. You got to stick your nose down to the grindstone and fall on your face as many times as possible, and just accept it and be happy that you're one step closer to learning, right? Over and over and over again. it gets ingrained. Man, let me tell you, when you, like for instance, when we were selling sewer trucks, when you got a guy that's very knowledgeable and you tell him the wrong information, or you look like you don't know what you're doing, man, that's a scary thought. And you got to run right head on into the scary stuff. And if you don't
Yeah.
know what you're doing, it's okay, because the next time you are going to know what you're doing, because you're going to remember that one. You're going to
Yeah.
remember, oh man, I didn't know that switch was there, and all I had to do was press that switch, and everything was
Yep.
golden, right?
Yep. Yep.
So you and I
That's
both
yeah.
have experienced that, right? It
But
happens.
you're so right. Yeah, like
Yeah,
being able to get kicked in the teeth and eat dirt for at least a year and a half. Like you got to be okay with just being the
yeah,
grunt, like just stinking up the joint, being the laughing
yep,
stock of the department for a good year and a half. And then after you can start to, you find your balance and grip the wheel, you'll be okay from there. But it's yeah, I remember my first demo, like my first solo demo, not where I could lean on my mentor or lean on somebody. But the first time I was out there all in the field by myself, and literally, and when I get nervous, I talk fast, which is never a good thing, because that shows more that you don't know what you're talking about. But it's one of those things that, okay, the next one was better, and the next one was better, and the next one was better, and by the 8th demo, like I'm chilling, like I'm literally having side conversations and telling dick jokes while giving a
right.
demo. And again, like if you're not willing to eat dirt for the first so many times, like it's gonna be rough. So yeah, thanks for touching on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's say we asked your wife's best friend, like, what does Alan do all day every day? Like, what would they get totally wrong in answering that question? Like, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about your position and what you do?
Um, Probably that I go out and play golf every day, and you know, take guys out to lunch all the time, and this is just a cushy gig, right? That's really what I think they would probably say, and
Yeah.
I think sometimes my wife even thinks that, because I do take guys to lunch occasionally, and but what they don't really see is that it's a lot of work to. I make a point to drag around equipment, so I might have a track loader that I want to show off, and I make a point to grab something I want to show off for the week in part of my calendar, and it's a lot of work to load it, unload it, and then if I get to a customer that wants to see it, I then again have to unload it, show them on a demo, and then do that demo, and then load it back up, and then go to the next spot. And it's physically demanding. And then, we've got our shop in here, and if I have a customer that comes in and he needs to talk to our service department, I'm not just going to just say, hey, go talk to the service department. I'm going to go out to the shop with them. We're gonna kick around in the dirt. I've been out on demos out in the forest, kicking around. I've been at recycling centers and dump sites and all these different things that as well as I do. I mean, sometimes it's a dirty job. I mean, it's a stinky job. Sometimes it's a job that is physically demanding, and so it's totally different than what I think my wife's best friend would think it is, rather than always out playing golf and buying lunch.
Yeah,
So
sure. I know when people would ask my wife, like, what does Joseph do for work? Oh, he sells poop trucks. It's like that's what I get relegated to, is selling poop trucks. Like,
right,
dude, I solve problems, man. I keep America
right.
moving.
My wife,
All right.
the first time I did a demo, when I came home, I was covered in, someone had overfilled, and material was out blowing through the pipe, and I was covered in it. First time I
Nice.
came home, my wife still remembers that to this day. She's like, you are getting undressed in the garage. Do not come inside. You stink. You look bad. You look like you're covered in, what? So yeah, it's an experience.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. All right, let's say Alan is commissioned to put up a billboard, and this billboard is in the most trafficked area of Meridian.
Oh God.
What ask of your community in regards to what you sell at Global would you put on this billboard?
Man, that's it. You know who I heard ask that question? I'm trying to remember. There was a guy that asked that question. He wrote a couple of books, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. That's a really good question, and it takes a lot of thought to really. I don't know, dude. I, in regards to, I mean, just in general, I'd probably put up a billboard that says "This too shall pass." That's had a lot of meaning to me. But professionally, that's tough. Um, Man, I'd have to give that some thought.
All good, man. All good. All good. How like let's say somebody's out in Idaho in your area or even in wherever Global Equipment's at. What should we be listening for in regards to flowing you guys some business or flowing you guys some leads or just some energy, some good vibes?
Honestly, the person our ideal customer would be, and if you were out talking to somebody and you realize you ran across this person, that this person would be fairly new to business, anywhere between just starting to maybe 5 to 10 years. We've got some really good customers that have been in business for like 5 years. Those guys are kind of ideal for us, because they're in it long enough to have purchased some equipment, know what they need, know what they want, and then we can grow with them. So maybe they have a piece or two of equipment. They've been in business for a couple of 2 to 5 years, and they're ready to expand. And so when you're out there talking to that guy, it could be a tree service, it could be a construction company, it could be a utility company. Of course, we're always looking for the municipal business, but realistically, our bread and butter is right there. That somewhat new construction or utility company or forestry, tree service type company that says, "Yeah, man, I love these bandits. They're loyal to us. They're always in here sharpening their knives. They're always bringing their unit in for service. I love these Avant mini loaders. And I use the heck out of it, and it really helps my business." That's our ideal customer. That's the guy. If you were out there talking to somebody and you realized who that was, and you went, "Oh, I know a guy that can help you with that." That's the guy that we would be looking for.
Okay. Good stuff. Always like to leave a space on the show for you to thank mentors that you had along your journey, and then also offer up a word of inspiration and motivation to your industry sales counterparts.
So, somebody that I spend a lot of time listening to and practicing their teachings is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's written 4 or 5 books. Most of it is on meditation and how to be a better person. He wrote a book called Supernatural that I love. A book called You Are the Placebo. And it's his way of thinking and his way of meditation is just slightly different than you'll hear from a lot of guys. And because of that, it resonates with me. And I feel like I've, at some point, I'm sure I'm probably going to want to go to some of his seminars, but at the same time, I've listened to all 5 of his books, and I do his meditation every single day without fail. I even take time on my weekends to do it. It lightens your step. It fills your heart. It just makes me feel good. And so, if anyone at all gets a chance to get involved with that type of teaching, I would recommend it for sure. Highly recommend it.
Okay, okay. And then what do you say to the salesmen out there? They're in their car right now. You know, they're fighting that uphill battle. They're trying to get from maybe to yes with their customers. They're trying to hit their number by the end of the month. What do you say to keep them motivated, keep them inspired?
You know, a lot of guys want to just grind and grind and grind, which is a good thing. I love that. Sometimes, and I've learned this over time, sometimes you just got to let go and just let it flow the way it's going to and keep going. Right? The grind is not necessarily trying to shove a deal, a round hole through a square peg. Sometimes it's letting that go and go into the next guy and not trying to pound your head against the wall. Let it go. Go to the next guy. There's enough business out there. It'll happen. So just if you're in your car and you're grinding it out and you feel a little like you need a little bit of motivation, just think of this. Just let that go and move on to the next one. Just let it go. It's pretty simple.
Love it. Love it. Let's say I'm coming to Meridian. I text you ahead of time. I'm like, hey, Alan, where can I go to get the best burger in town? Where are you going to send me?
All right. Yeah. So I got one for you. There's this little place. It's an interesting little place. So it's called Three Horse Winery, and you're going to laugh at me because it's a winery. However,
Okay.
they have this Wagyu truffle burger that will change your life.
Okay.
It's that good. In my opinion, it's the best burger on the planet. So good that when I finished that burger, I ordered another one because it was that good. I've never done that in my life. Oh my God. You have to, if you ever come through, dude, you got to come. We'll take you out there to Three Horse. You can have a little swish of wine and maybe one of those burgers, man. It's on a brioche bun. It's got this garlic aioli that's just to die for. I mean, and the meat is just, I can't describe it. It's life changing. If you like burgers like we do, it's life changing.
Oh, yeah. Love it. Love it. Well, Alan, thank you for hopping on the podcast. Thanks for sharing your wealth of information and knowledge with us. To all the listeners out there, make sure you share this with somebody who you think needs to hear it. Alan, before we get out of here, any final words?
No, man. Thanks. I appreciate you having me on.
For sure. For sure. All right. Well, this has been the Public Works Podcast, and thank you for tuning in.